fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The irony wasn't lost on me. For years, I'd lived with the guilt of having cracked Aethelgard, a game lauded as impenetrable. I'd never used the hack, the fear of exposure outweighing the temptation. Now, Aethelgard wasn't just a game, it was reality, and I was, potentially, the only one who could fix it. The world had fractured 3 weeks ago. Rifts tore through reality, spewing monsters ripped straight from the game's lore, grotesque gremlins, towering stone golems, and ethereal whispering wraiths. People, too, had changed. Some manifested gifts, abilities echoing the game's classes, mages wielding elemental power, warriors imbued with superhuman strength, rogues cloaked in shadow. I was a nobody before, a tech recluse living off my savings and the shame of my past. Now I was still a nobody, just one with a very dangerous secret. The hacked client, a monstrous mess of code I'd painstakingly crafted, still resided on my encrypted hard drive, untouched, pristine, and potentially the key to saving us all. The first few days were chaos, panic, looting, and the sickening realization that the world as we knew it was gone. I holed up in my apartment, watching the news, my fingers itching to fire up the client, but I couldn't, not yet. The risk was too great if anyone found out. Then came the night the wraiths attacked. They slipped through the veil, silent and deadly, their touch draining the life force of their victims. I watched from my window as they descended on my neighborhood, a swarm of ghostly horrors. That was the night I met Alara. She moved with a grace that defied the crumbling cityscape, a whirlwind of steel and fire, a warrior clearly gifted. Her twin blades sang as they sliced through the wraiths, her movements precise and deadly, but she was outnumbered. I didn't think, I just acted. I grabbed my laptop, the one containing the hacked client, and ran. Bursting out onto the street, I found her back-to-back with another woman, both surrounded by a sea of wraiths. The other woman was a mage, her hands crackling with raw energy, but she was tiring. "Need a hand," I yelled, my voice cracking with fear. Alara turned, her face grim but resolute. Her eyes, the color of molten gold, met mine. "Can you fight?" I hesitated, not exactly, but I can help. And then I did the unthinkable. Crouching behind a ruined car, I fired up the hacked client. Lines of code scrolled across the screen, archaic and familiar. I navigated to the enemy manipulation module, my fingers trembling. Targeting the wraiths, I activated the confusion protocol. The effect was immediate. The wraiths hesitated, their ethereal forms flickering. They turned on each other, their spectral claws tearing into their own. Alara and the mage seized the opportunity, their attacks swift and decisive. Within minutes, the remaining wraiths dissipated into shimmering dust. Alara approached me, her eyes narrowed. "What did you do?" I have some skills," I stammered, closing my laptop. "Skills that made those things attack each other." She didn't sound accusing, more curious. "Let's just say I understand how they think," I replied vaguely. "My name is Kai." "Alara, and this is Lyra," she said, gesturing to the mage. Lyra nodded, her eyes still wary. That night I joined them. They were part of a small, independent group trying to protect the survivors in our sector. I became their tech support, offering cryptic advice based on my knowledge of the game, always careful to conceal the true extent of my abilities. As the weeks passed, I grew closer to Alara. She was fierce, compassionate, and burdened by the responsibility of protecting her people. I saw the weariness in her eyes, the constant fear that gnawed at her. I found myself wanting to ease her burden, to shield her from the darkness that threatened to consume us all. But I couldn't. My secret was a wall between us, a constant source of anxiety. How could I be honest with her when I was living a lie? One evening we were scouting a nearby warehouse, rumored to be infested with gremlins. We moved through the shadows, Alara leading the way, her senses heightened. Suddenly, a trap sprung. A net of energy slammed down, trapping us both. "Damn it," Alara cursed, struggling against the barrier. From the darkness, a figure emerged, a man clad in armor, his face hidden behind a metal mask. Well, he sneered. "What have we here? A warrior and her pet." "Let us go," Alara growled, her voice laced with anger. "I'm afraid I can't do that. You're a threat to my operation, and your little friend, well, she might have some use to me." He turned to me, his masked gaze sending a shiver down my spine. "I've been watching you, Techie. You're smarter than you let on. Maybe you can tell me how you made those wraiths turn on each other." He knew, somehow he knew. My heart pounded in my chest. My secret was out. I don't know what you're talking about, I lied, my voice trembling. He laughed, a cold, cruel sound. Don't play coy with me. I know about the hack. I know about Aethelgard, and I know you're the one who broke the system. Alara's eyes widened, her gaze shifting between me and the masked figure. What is he talking about, Kai? I couldn't lie to her anymore, not now. I used to be a hacker. Before all this happened, I cracked Aethelgard. Her expression was a mixture of shock and betrayal. You what? The masked man chuckled. Now that's out of the way. I need your help, Kai. I need you to use your hack to control the monsters, to bend them to my will. I won't do it, I said, my voice firm despite my fear. He sighed. I was hoping you'd say that. Pity. I really wanted to work with you, but I guess I'll just have to force your hand. He raised his hand, and the energy net tightened, squeezing the air from my lungs. Alara roared, her blades flashing, but the energy barrier held strong. She was trapped, helpless. Now, Kai, the masked man said, his voice dangerously soft. Are you ready to cooperate, or do you want to watch your little friend die? I looked at Alara, her eyes filled with pain and fear. My heart broke. I had to protect her, even if it meant sacrificing everything. Okay, I whispered, my voice barely audible. I'll do it, just let her go. The masked man smiled. Excellent, now let's get to work. He released the pressure on the net, and I gasped for air, my body trembling. Kai, don't, Alara pleaded, her voice hoarse. But it was too late. I had made my choice, and now I was about to become the very thing I had feared, a weapon in the hands of a madman. As the masked man led me away, deeper into the warehouse, I looked back at Alara, her eyes filled with tears. I wanted to tell her I was sorry. I wanted to tell her that I loved her, but the words caught in my throat. All I could do was offer her a silent promise. I would find a way to stop him, even if it meant destroying myself in the process.